After a 2-month pause, a new national protest against the government of Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has been set for Saturday, October 2nd. Organisers believe the mobilisations throughout the country could mark a new phase of street action by the left, social movements and other sectors dissatisfied with the Bolsonaro administration. Our colleague at Brazil Alex Mirkhan brings us the details.
Since the beginning of this government in 2019, Jair Bolsonaro has faced fierce opposition in social networks, but so far, a sequence of major demonstrations capable of disrupting the political script in Brazil has not occurred, according to Luis Felipe Miguel, political analyst and professor at the University of Brasilia. This scenario could change with the upcoming protests planned in every region of the country on Saturday. I believe society is becoming more and more outraged, which means there is a strong possibility of very significant demonstrations next Saturday. Despite his optimism, Miguel admits to level the mobilization is still inconsistent with the reality of the past 3 years and argues that part of this picture still reflects a slow awakening of the left since the massive protests of 2013. I think that at a time when we saw the demonstrations in favor of education, which were the first major demonstrations under Bolsonaro's government, we were also surprised because it is a government that operates with a different logic. Any other government, even a right-wing government, when facing demonstrations of this magnitude, would try to find space for negotiation to minimize the damage. The Bolsonaro government follows the opposite logic of ever-increasing tensions and confrontation. Before becoming president, Bolsonaro was facing resistance in the streets with a Not Him campaign, and at times during his government he faced protests in defense of education and then of the environment, fueled by images of fires in the Amazon. After the beginning of the pandemic and a long period of lockdown, Brazilians took to the streets again on May 29. The protest against the health policies adopted by the federal government. This date represents the beginning of a movement that Federal Deputy Fernanda Melchionia believes is capable of stopping other setbacks, such as the administrative reform known as PEC 32.
The thing is, we need on the one hand to continue the mobilization timetable launched on May 29, with biosecurity measures of course, but when the government is more lethal than the virus, there is not other alternative but to take to the streets and spread. 2. We need to lean the struggle in favor of getting Bolsonaro out of office and for the impeachment with the fight against the PEC 22 administrative reform that Lira is trying at all times to schedule a vote on here in the chamber to flag the markets, giving political stability to the Bolsonaro government in this moment of social, political and economic crisis.
Although ruling out the need to respond to the September the 7th protest in support of Bolsonaro with broader mobilizations, Federal Deputy Handira Fegali, member of the Communist Party of Brazil, welcomes the idea that groups outside the left join the struggle.